up next on this Q30 News online exclusive, we have the latest on how professors and students have been adjusting to online classes and how the Quinnipiac community is coming together in a time of need. SGA election votes are in. Find out who was elected. All this and more coming up next on this online exclusive. Hello and welcome back to the Q30 News online exclusive. I'm Kaylee Heffler coming to you from my home in Burlington, Massachusetts. Quinnipiac announced housing and dining credits will be refunded to students for a portion of the spring 2020 semester, since students have not been on campus since it closed after spring break. Returning students will receive a credit which can be applied to next year's housing and dining plans, while those who are graduating will be refunded in a form of a direct deposit or a paper check. For the last month and a half, students have been taking online classes via Zoom, an online software. This has been an adjustment to both students and professors. Kate Pattyfoot has more.
My teachers sometimes get distracted when we're in the Zoom classes more than in the classroom.
Since classes have been moved online, professors are using the platform site Zoom to continue teaching.
My classes are going as well as can be expected given the situation. It's a position that no one wanted to be in. Professors didn't want to be in it. Students didn't want to be in it. So, everyone is, making adjustments to it and trying to make the best of it.
One student finds herself deciding if she should nap or do her assignments, something she says she's never had to choose between when she lived on campus.
Now I just want to I really want to take a nap, but I have a ton of homework that I should be doing. So it's like I'm constantly choosing between, should I take a nap or should I do my homework? And I've never really had that feeling before.
And Sabrina has noticed that in some classes, she's getting more work assigned.
I'm definitely getting more busy work assignments from my teachers for electives.
Professor Bogardus says the amount of work he's giving to his students hasn't changed.
The way I usually teach my classes is that there's a homework and then there's usually an in-class assignment. So that structure still remains. There's still 2 assignments generally each week.
As finals are next week, this will end online classes for the semester. For Q30 News, Kate Pattyfoot.
Now, some students still remain on the Mount Carmel campus because they are unable to go home. Students like Barbara Harinakova and Kim Karamans have been there since March.
While some of us are stuck missing Quinnipiac from afar, some students never left.
International students remaining at Quinnipiac have been supported by the school in a number of ways.
Like a nurse called me last week, they emailed me today and they're checking up on us, asking us if we are okay and if we are healthy, if we need any masks or anything. They always check in if we need something. And also facilities dropped us off boxes of hand sanitizer and soaps and stuff like that.
Public safety has just been a gem, I feel, because they helped all of us move into these rooms. They are there every day.
But while many are staying at the school because it is a safer option than flying home, there are still dangers in the dorms.
If one of us gets infected, then pretty much all of us would get infected because we use the same laundry room. So everyone has is touching things and not everyone has masks.
Despite this, they aren't packing their bags for home either.
Of course I want to go home and of course I want to see my friends and everything, but the smartest thing to do right now is to just stay put.
I'm also afraid to go home and not being able to come back, even in fall, because obviously we don't know what the situation's gonna be.
Beyond the everyday concerns of getting COVID-19, exposure is increasingly on their minds.
When we got the original email letting us know that they were going to pack all of our stuff up, I think my biggest concern was just oh my God, people are going to be here and I guess campus won't be as safe.
But for now, there are more questions than answers.
What are they going to do? They haven't really told us anything. And so it's just kind of well, we're here and we want to know what's happening. So like I've emailed like Res Life, but they haven't responded.
Quinnipiac still has not released an official statement about the progress of moving students out and healthcare workers in, but it will remain a home for many international students even as the semester comes to a close. Skylar Haynes, Q30 News.
COVID-19 has had a global impact, but one Quinnipiac professor is making an impact abroad herself. Caitlin Wolf, an adjunct professor in the School of Health Sciences, is working for the World Health Organization. She has been working towards preventing the spread of global pandemics with them since 2014. Now Wolf can be found remotely designing a community-based surveillance for COVID-19 in settlements in Iraq. Wolf says that these experiences remind her why she teaches, quote, "We need a robust public health systems and we need trained public health professionals to keep us all healthy," end quote. Protests have been taking place in Connecticut, demanding the government to reopen the state. Brooke Riley has that and more in a local update. Brooke?
Thank you, Kaylee. People are still testing positive for the coronavirus across the state of Connecticut. As of April 29th, there are 26,767 confirmed cases and a total of 2,168 deaths in Connecticut, with the highest numbers being in Fairfield County, followed by New Haven County. New hospitalizations have decreased by 41 patients, making the total number of people hospitalized for COVID-19 in Connecticut 1,691. This is the 7th day in a row that hospitalizations have decreased. With the need for more testing, another free walk-up testing site is now open in New Haven at Day Street Park. This is the third of its kind in the city. The state announcing on Tuesday a new system for tracing the contacts of people with coronavirus. The system was created with Microsoft and is key in regards to reopening the state, according to Governor Ned Lamont. The State Department of Public Health and local health departments currently have 300 contact tracers and are looking to add 400 to 500 more volunteers from academic institutions. The goal is to get those who were in contact with people who tested positive to self-isolate for 14 days. This program is expected to roll out by mid-May. During Lamont's briefing on Monday, the governor said that some businesses could potentially begin to reopen within 7 to 10 days if hospitalizations continue to decline. A task force consisting of medical and business officials has been meeting daily to discuss and prioritize what can and cannot be opened while still following social distancing guidelines. Lamont is committed to keeping schools, retail stores, and non-essential businesses closed until May 20th, but he did share a glimpse into the future regarding plans for the summer.
People are looking for clarity. They said, what are you thinking when it comes to the aquarium? And if I can come up with a strategy, Governor, where I can keep people socially distanced, we can limit the number of people coming in, would you allow us to think about reopening? And the answer to that is yes. We're getting the best ideas from the people who are absolutely impacted by that.
Although Connecticut's stay-at-home order is still in place, many residents are continuing to protest in hopes of the state reopening soon. CT Liberty Rally is organizing these protests and plans to have more frequent and longer ones until the economy begins to improve. During these protests, people drive up and down the streets of Hartford holding signs and honking to call for the state's leaders to lift the stay-at-home order. Lamont responded saying that the protesters should walk through an ICU unit to see why the state has yet to reopen. That's all I have for local news in Connecticut. Back to you, Kaylee.
Students have been doing more than just schoolwork during this quarantine. Multiple students have been keeping busy and making masks and donating them to public healthcare workers and selling them to people who are in need. Jennifer Cuvas has more.
Quinnipiac students have begun making face masks in their hometowns for their loved ones and community healthcare workers in an effort to keep them safe from coronavirus.
Carly Bonanno said she started to make face masks after her mother, who is a home health nurse, told her about the shortage of personal protective equipment.
We kind of brought up the idea of playing around with making masks and trying to see if we could come up with something. So I ended up taking one Saturday, I just started playing around with it, and we were able to come up with a design that worked pretty well.
The face masks Carly makes are about 5 inches wide and 10 inches in length. She has made over 100 masks for her community and says the feedback has all been very positive.
They know that they're protected, they're comfortable, they feel like it's not uncomfortable for them to wear them, and they feel that it does the job that it needs to do. So
people are definitely really grateful to have these as an option.
Nursing student Amanda Donna has added her unique twist to the face mask she donated to the university for facilities and public safety employees to use.
My grandpa used to work in facilities at Quinnipiac for like 25 years, so we actually made them out of like his old facilities t-shirts, so they say Quinnipiac facilities on them.
Amanda is aware of the demand for face masks and plans to continue making more out of different materials such as nursing scrubs and fabrics ordered from Amazon. The QU logo has also been added to face masks being made by Cameron Bernstein. She paints the QU letters onto the face mask, and it takes her about 30 minutes to complete one mask.
People started asking about Quinnipiac ones, and I kind of thought that it was a good way to be able to express our school spirit, even though we can't be on campus.
All 3 students say they plan to continue sewing and donating masks as the threat of coronavirus remains present. In Stamford, Connecticut, Jennifer Cuevas, Q30 News.
Dr. Deborah J. Leibowitz has been named the new provost of Quinnipiac. Leibowitz will be taking over for Jennifer Brown, who has served as interim provost and executive vice president this past year. Leibowitz joins the Quinnipiac community from Drew University, where she is currently the provost and the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and the Casperin School of Graduate Studies. While April is almost over, it is still Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the Title IX office has created an Instagram account so students could access more resources from their phones.
Students are already on Instagram and they're already scrolling through. So with this Instagram page, students have an opportunity to really get to know the Title IX office from the comfort of a platform that they're already accustomed to.
This was an SGA initiative done by Junior Class Senator Isabella Diaz. The Student Government Association held elections for its next executive board and chief justice last week. The president-elect is Sophia Marshall. The vice president-elect is Caroline Mello. The vice president for finance-elect is Barbara Harina Kova. The vice president for student experience-elect is Nicholas Campanelli. The Vice President for Public Relations-elect is Jamie and Jean Baptiste, and the Chief Justice-elect is Matthew Forcino.
Be able to work with them again this year. But I think just overall, I think we have a great team, and I think it's really just about not only me holding everybody accountable, but everybody else holding all of us mutually accountable.
Due to COVID-19, seniors at Quinnipiac are not getting the traditional experience they thought they would. But in order to raise spirits, the Senior Class Cabinet and the Senior Experience Committee have created an Instagram account. The Instagram account is to celebrate the soon-to-be graduates, and they have been giving away different prizes for seniors to win. In addition, they are also giving away tips for life after graduation. As COVID-19 continues to spread, some states are starting to reopen, while others have a long way to go. Nationally, there have been over 1 million cases and over 58,000 deaths. Olivia Schuler is joining us from Wallingford, Connecticut with more. Olivia?
Thanks, Kaylee. With coronavirus-related deaths decreasing, we start to look at the states that are reopening some of their businesses. And this is with the social distancing order still in place. States around the country have started to loosen their stay-at-home restrictions. Georgia, Florida, and Alaska are just 3 of the states that have started to reopen restaurants, salons, and even beaches. Businesses that do reopen in states across the country must remain social distancing and take the steps to keep their staff members and customers safe. Restaurants and salons that are planning on reopening will have to adjust their layouts, sanitation procedures, and service methods. In some states, the stay-at-home restriction will end at the end of April, but in Connecticut, the stay-at-home orders are extended until May 20th. Reopening of restaurants and salons aren't the only concern. The other concern, some beaches. Parts of Florida and California have reopened some of their beaches while ordering social distancing. In California, Ventura County, parking lots are remaining closed this past weekend to limit crowds. Florida beaches that are open have implemented that same rule. And as of today, Florida's stay-at-home order is still until April 30th. California's stay-at-home order end date is different in each of its counties. Amador County is lifting its stay-at-home order on April 30th, the earliest of the surrounding counties. 103 veterans have died between 2 Massachusetts care facilities. 85 of those veterans tested positive for the coronavirus. Soldiers Home in Chelsea, Massachusetts has lost 26 residents to the coronavirus. And Holyoke Soldiers Home has lost 66 of its residents. Holyoke Soldiers Home is now under federal investigation. Staff and union workers say that Holyoke Soldiers Home has had systematic issues for a year. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker announced an additional $130 million in funding for nursing homes and long-term care facilities. About a fifth of United States coronavirus deaths are linked to nursing facilities. An alarming statistic right there, Kaylee. That's it for this week's National News Update. Back to you.
Thanks, Olivia. It feels like spring may finally be here, and Skylar Haynes is joining us from Amaston, Connecticut to give us a full weather report. Skylar?
Spring is certainly in full bloom, and we have your weather forecast so you can plan exactly how you're going to take advantage of it. Hamden is at a beautiful 56 degrees today, but temperatures will drop later on. Now tomorrow, temperatures are going to be similar at Quinnipiac, but there are showers expected for most of the day. And keep that umbrella out because while it will get warmer and hit a 62 degrees Friday, showers are expected to continue through the morning. Now New York is expecting some of those same rain clouds, but as early as tonight, temperatures are remaining a bit higher there in the 60s for Thursday and Friday. Boston has clear skies today, but a bit cooler at 51 degrees. They are going to stay in that cooler 50-degree range, but we'll see that same rain come in tomorrow, and they can expect to need their umbrellas through Saturday. So my suggestion, get outside while you can, and be prepared for some of those final April showers.
Thanks, Skylar. The Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference, known as the CIAC, has decided that high school spring sports, if allowed to resume, will only be played in the month of June. According to the CIAC press release, quote, "The decision comes after efforts made by Governor Lamont and Commissioner Cardona to keep Connecticut's school communities safe," end quote. Additionally, the CIAC will not run any tournaments or Final Four games at all for the seasons. Multiple parties were surveyed when considering this decision. These parties included superintendents, principals, directors, and the Connecticut State Medical Society Sports Medicine Committee. That is all the time we have left for this Q30 News Online exclusive. Be sure to continue checking out our social media accounts at Q30 News on Twitter and Facebook, and at Q30 Television on Instagram. You can also check out our website at q30.tv to stay up to date on the latest news. For everyone behind the scenes, I'm Kaylee Heffler.